What's up, everybody? Welcome to Mick Thinks Tiny. My name is Mick. So in my more recent video, I talked about a tiny house that went viral in Las Vegas because the owner decided to list it for rent at a super low price, which got me thinking about tiny house community options in Nevada. I know that some of you have commented about tiny house communities in Nevada, so I figured I'd check it out. So that's what we're talking about in today's video. If you're new to the channel, make sure you subscribe and let's jump into it. Let's talk about tiny house communities in Nevada. All right, welcome back. So today we're talking about tiny house communities in Nevada. Nevada is a pretty cool state. I think it's situated in a pretty cool part of the southwestern part of the country. You're close to California, you're close to Arizona, things like that, Utah. Colorado's not too many states over. So overall, it's an attractive destination for a lot of different reasons. So we're going to talk a little bit about why Nevada is worth considering if you already live there or if you're curious about moving there potentially. And then we'll talk about some of these community options for those of you who are looking to go tiny and you don't want to do the whole buying land or backyard route. So when we're talking about why Nevada, there's a couple of perks, obviously, for Nevada. Lower cost of living, you're looking at about $75K compared to $80. It's not a super cheap area in terms of the median family income, but when it comes to housing, it can be a little more affordable compared to some of the more expensive parts of the country. Obviously, you've got Las Vegas, Nevada. That's the big selling point. Las Vegas is known for nightlife and entertainment, that sort of thing, but you've also got some really cool nature opportunities. You've got Red Rock Canyon, you've got the Hoover Dam, you've got museums, you even have beaches. And for the tiny house laws, they really vary by county, just like they do for every other state in this country. I took a look at Clark County, which I talked about a little bit before in the other video on the Vegas tiny house. But just as a recap, you have to have a home that's no more than 400 square feet. You can use any single family zoning location, but you can only have one tiny house per lot. So that's sort of the tiny house laws landscape, if you will, at least for Clark County. So when we're talking about tiny house communities, I have said this a million times, but it's so important to think about what your budget is. If it's more affordable, then it makes sense. The amenities with dog parks and pools and things like that, they're becoming more and more resort style, which I think can be a plus for a lot of you who are looking for community, but you also want to stay active and you want to be able to have your family and friends visit. The locations, it depends. Some are more rural, some are getting closer and closer to that urban boundary. But for right now, you're going to be a little bit further outside of the city. And then security becomes an even more important issue with like lock and leave communities, making sure the communities are gated. So you have quite a few options in terms of the perks for tiny house communities there. So first up is a community called River West. So this is actually a premier RV resort and vacation cottage area in Reno, but this is what their website looks like, the front page of it. Really cool, kind of like some of the prefab tiny homes you've seen, a little bit larger footprint, very modern design. So they're in Reno. They're located in the city of Reno, so very close to everything you would need in terms of grocery stores and stuff like that. It is resort style, but it is riverfront, which I thought was really cool. They've got 11 cottages to choose from. Because it is more of a traditional resort, you are looking at like a long-term stay. So you are going to pay for that a little bit of a premium. You're looking at about $1,000 for long-term stays, but it is a well-established community. So that's a bonus. Next up is Beatty View RV and Tiny Home Resort. So they have tiny home rentals. You can rent them daily, weekly, or monthly. It's a little more on the affordable side. They're located in Beatty, Nevada, which is more of a rural off-grid location. They're about an hour from a Walmart as far as I could tell when I was trying to map their location to the closest Walmart or grocery store. They do have long-term stays for RVs and tiny homes, so you're looking at about $650 a month, but they've got laundry on site, they've got EV chargers, they've got showers, and they have restrooms. So if you're looking for more of an off-grid, more remote, rural opportunity in terms of just maybe retiring, or maybe it's something you want to do in the short term, this could be a really good option for you. Next up is Cree's mobile home park. This is actually, in my opinion, the best option if you're looking in Nevada right now, because there doesn't seem to be too many formal tiny house communities, really. Cree's mobile home park, this is what their website looks like. they are actually a 55 plus community. They are an hour outside of Vegas, which is actually great. That's not too bad. They're in Searchlight, Nevada, so you have access to, smaller convenience stores and things like that. But they're $500 a month, and that includes Wi-Fi, which is a very reasonable price. They've got casinos nearby and a community center, so they are catering to the 55 plus community. So if you're looking for an opportunity to try out tiny house living, you might be able to rent out one of their areas, or if you're interested in just making the plunge, this could be a good option for you because it is a little more cost effective, even though it's a little bit further outside the city. Last up, this is the sort of like an aerial view of Llamapolis. I'm saying right, Llamapolis, which is a Airstream park that used to exist in Las Vegas, Nevada. Now, I know you're probably thinking, Mick, why would you even talk to us about something that's permanently closed? Because I think that the design of it was really creative. It was created by the former Zappos CEO, who has recently passed away a few years ago. But it was in the heart of downtown Las Vegas. It was a little bit pricier at $1,200 a month, but there were tiny homes and there were Airstreams. And as we continue to see this industry evolve and become more and more popular, there's going to be interesting opportunities for developers, which means there's going to be interesting opportunities for those of you who are interested in living in tiny homes to live in the heart of the city, but that might mean that you have to end up paying a little bit more. So I brought it up because I was just curious to know if those of you who were watching would ever live in the heart of downtown in more of a more urban tiny house community. Maybe it's like multiple like Airstreams, RVs, campers, that sort of thing, if you had to pay a little bit more a month, because it might be worth it depending on what your lifestyle is like. Ultimately, with all of these communities that I talk about and these options, you have to think about what's right for you. Here in the Nevada market, it seems like most likely you're going to be buying a tiny home and renting land and putting it in an RV park. That just seems to be what's available right now. So tiny homes, as I said in the previous video, they are becoming more popular with, the Vegas Tiny Homes Expo. You've got alternative living spaces there. So you do have like the makings of an area where you'll have more people that are interested in tiny homes. But for right now, this is just kind of where we're at. So that means that when you're thinking about which community is best for you, and this applies to any community, I'm just talking about it here with this particular video because there's not really many options for tiny house communities in Nevada, you have to think about quite a few things. First and foremost is, are you willing to wait for a community to open? Most likely you're going to see new tiny house communities popping up every 6 months to 12 months in a lot of these larger, more populated areas in the United States. So if you're looking at like all up and down the West Coast from like Washington to California, parts of the Southwest, we're seeing a big increase in interest in the South, and then even up through Southeast and Northeastern parts of the country. So in 6 months to a year, there could be a community in your area, so you keep your eyes open for that. Your other option is to create your own community, which I've actually seen some of you talk about in the comments. So that's always an option. And maybe it might be the case that you get together with a few people instead of taking on the mortgage and the debt yourself and create a community. You can also buy land for your tiny home. We've talked about that. You can rent a tiny home, check out Craigslist, look at RV parks and other communities. That is the best option to do if you're considering going tiny, so you can try it out and you know for sure before you shell out 70 to 100 grand that this is something you want to do. And then your other options are to move to another state. Now, I know a lot of you are location bound, so it's just not an option. But for those of you who have that flexibility, it might be worth considering and just deciding what you're interested in climate-wise, what your budget can afford you in terms of location, and what your absolute no's are for location. Like if you know you don't want to live in Florida, don't look for tiny house communities in Florida, obviously, right? So that's something to consider as well too. But here in Nevada, these are the three options that I could find. None of them are traditional tiny house communities, but they offer an opportunity for you to at least try out tiny living in Nevada before making that longer term commitment. So you've got River West Resort, which is more like resort style with the cottages. You've got Beatty RV and Tiny Home Resort, which is a little bit off the beaten path, but it could be an adventure. And then you've got Cree's Mobile Home Park, which is more affordable and only an hour outside of Vegas. So what do you think? Would you live in either of these? All three options, would you live in any of them? What are your thoughts on when you're thinking about making the decision that's best for you? How many of you are considering moving? Would you be open to it? What are some states you know for sure you don't want to be in? Drop a comment. I love to hear from you guys. As always, if there's other states you want to see, I'm always looking to see what the options are in states. Hopefully at some point we'll have all 50 states up on the channel for videos. But yeah, let me know what states you want to see. If you have questions, comments, you can always drop a comment. You can send me an email. I appreciate you guys so much for watching. Please check out the other video on the tiny house in Las Vegas if you haven't seen it. And I will see you guys in the next one. Don't forget to think tiny.